Hello, hello. I'm so excited. Okay, this is what I want you to feel at the end of my presentation. This is what I want you to feel through it. I want you to be so excited to share your voice. I want you to be so excited to share your sound and to share who you are. Let's see. I was on Instagram, as all great stories go, and found this video. It was great. I'm not going to play it because we all know that's not going to work. But I saw this video and I just thought, this is so great and such a great example. So we talk a lot and we've heard a lot. We create with our words, right? Becky's going to talk to us about that later. We create with our words. God said, let there be light, and there was light. I could be like, let there be light. That thing's happening, right? It's because the difference between me saying it and God saying it is the frequency with which it's said. So we have here in this example, I love it, the 440 symbolizes the frequency of our desires. And I think it's very common for us to say, I want a car. You want a car. And so therefore, that car is sitting at the same frequency. But that's actually not true. The frequency of my car is sitting at my divine frequency. The frequency of your car is sitting at your divine frequency. And then here we have over here the 512 hertz frequency, and this is the sound of our voice, or the sound our voice is generally sitting at. So in this slide, he bangs the tuning fork, and nothing happens. The ball does not move at all. You can see the ball is right up against it. Now, he changes the tuning fork. And as soon as he hits that tuning fork, the ball bounces. This is what happens with our sound. When we are connected to our divine frequency, we are able to better call in what it is that we want to know. I kind of wish that that ball was on the other side of the tuning fork on this side. Because what happens is we speak to our desires, and then our desire bounces to us. Can I get a hallelujah? I want that. Do you want that? I think that sounds like so much fun. Okay, so what impacts our frequency? Our thoughts, our feelings, and our words impact our frequency. Thoughts, feelings, words. So, I don't know if you guys are like this. I've definitely never done this in my life. Where I'm like, wait, I already hear laughing. I'm like, oh, I should definitely not think I'm stupid, so I'm never gonna think that. And then I still act like I think that, because I kind of like swept it under the rug. Oh, I shouldn't be mad, so I'm not really gonna be mad, but really I actually kind of am mad, right? Or I shouldn't say specific words, so I won't say those specific words, but I still do. So whether we are thinking things or not, and not acknowledging that we're thinking them, if we're feeling things that we're not acknowledging, and we're saying things that we're not acknowledging, it's still impacting our frequency. Okay, so our sound is so incredible. Have you guys ever heard the phrase, your eyes are a window to your soul? Yes, I'm seeing nods. So our eyes are the window to our soul, and our voice is the doorway. If I asked someone, I said, okay, we're gonna take 1 minute, and everybody starting over here is gonna come up here and sing the national anthem. Would you guys run up here and do it? No, okay, we do have one. Yes, thank you, two, thank you, three, okay. But it's scary. It's so scary because especially when we sing, it opens the doors like the double doors, the French doors, to our heart, and we're like, look at me. Don't look at me. Right? And so that is why it's so scary to speak publicly. It's why it's so scary to speak our hearts to someone, because we are so afraid of the impact that it's going to be created on our soul. So, our sound holds information about our frequency. The information that is in that are our thoughts, our feelings, our spirit, and our body. So our voice holds all that information. If you think about calling someone on the phone, you know the days when we used to do that before everybody just text everything, and you call and you're like, hey, Cynthia, how are you doing today? And like Cynthia responds, and you can tell immediately from the sound of her voice that she feels sad. You don't have to see her. It doesn't have to be a video call. You can tell by the sound of her voice. If you were walking along the sidewalk and you were talking to someone on the phone and you trip and you stub your toe, that sound, that pain is going to come out through your voice. If you're sick, your voice adjusts. If you're thinking things that aren't helpful for you, your voice is going to adjust. If you're thinking things that are helpful, all of that information comes out through your voice. This is Janelle. I love Janelle. She was a client of mine. Janelle is a multiple six-figure CEO, business owner. And she came to me because she hated the sound of her voice. Can you guys imagine that? Like, I kind of just thought, like, before I did this, that if you made multiple six figures, you loved your voice, and you loved to hear the sound of your voice. Maybe a little bit too much sometimes for some people, if you know what I mean. So she came to me and she was like, I record all these podcasts, I do YouTube videos, I interview people, and I cannot stand listening to it back. She would, and she did, so that she could edit it, but she did not like it. Like, legit, she said to me, it was nails on a chalkboard. That's how she felt about her sound. So her and I met, and it was so funny because this is like the first session we have together, and I was crying. And she's on the other side of the computer screen, and she's like, I'm fine. I feel so great. And I'm just like, I can't even control these tears. And she's like, oh yeah, this generally happens to me. Like, I see someone in the energy world, they work on my energy field. Like, I go to the massage therapist who isn't even an energy worker, and they are crying, they feel all my feelings, and I'm like, that's it. What I want to have happen by the end of the time that we're done working together is that I want you to feel everything and I feel nothing, which isn't not normally what I would want, right? Because I want to stay connected. So it was a few sessions later, we were talking about something or other, and she goes like this, I'm feeling feelings. I was like, yes, and I felt nothing. It was so fantastic. I loved it, and it was so great. It was the turning point. And she realized that one of the biggest things that was helpful for her was to acknowledge that she had feelings. Do you have to acknowledge that you're having feelings? And then identify what feeling you're having, what feeling she was having, then validate that feeling, and then ask, what is it that I need right now? And that shifted everything for her. She told me that she was so worried, because I asked her, I said, what's the scariest thing about working with me? I love that question. I think it's a fantastic question. And she said, I don't want to walk around the world crying. I don't want to be at the grocery store and just start crying. That sounds awful. Feelings equal weakness. Feelings equal exposure. Anybody else ever felt like that? Yes, me, a million times. Around specific people too, you know? So she just thought, if I feel those things, if I open the door to feeling my feelings, then they're gonna overwhelm me all the time. And I'm just gonna cry everywhere. But the truth was that when she was connected to her feelings, she was able to manage them in the moment and in times when it was appropriate to cry, times where it didn't necessarily feel like it was appropriate, but it was. And it created a huge impact in her family. Her husband said, "I've never felt so safe with you." One of her clients reached out to me and said, "I just want to thank you for changing my life." And I was like, "What?" She said, "I heard Janelle speak before she worked with you, and that was a no-go. And then she worked with you, and I heard her after that, and I was like, sign me up." Because she could hear through her sound how connected to God she was. She could hear through her sound how inspired she was. And she wanted that. She knew she needed that. Janelle told me recently that she works less and makes more since her sound has changed. And I said, yes. I think that's fantastic. So let's talk about the quickest way to connect to our designed frequency. We got to connect to our heart. Did you guys all see that coming? Probably. So we have to connect to our heart. So I'm going to get a little bit scientific. Don't worry, it won't last long. Science is not my fave. I'm going to get a little scientific with you. So there we have two electric centers in our body, two electric centers in our body. One in our mind and one in our heart. Right? Does that make sense? So our mind, we say, hold the microphone up to your mouth, and then our body does it. Take a step, our body does it. Our mind sends those impulses throughout our body, and then we do it, right? Our heart, you think about when a heart stops in the hospital, what do? They shock it with electricity, right? So the heart gets shocked with electricity. So what our heart does is it sends power through our body. So our heart sends power through our body, and our mind tells our body what to do. So with these two electrical centers, there are electromagnetic waves that are sent out from our body. The heart has 50 times the amplitude and 1,000 times the strength of the electromagnetic waves of the mind. Sign me up. So that means, look at the top part of the slide. Amplitude, the up and down, is speed. Strength is the distance at which we keep that speed going. So how long can I keep up that pace? Right? So if the mind, you can see down here, if the mind can run 1 mile a minute, have you ever heard anybody say that? My mind is going 1 mile a minute. So if our mind can run 1 mile a minute and can keep that pace for a full hour, then our heart can run 50 miles an hour and keep up that pace for 1,000 hours. Hot dang. Right? Hot dang. So if I have a desire that I'm wanting, where would be the most effective place to put it? Yes, in our heart. Because that is going to give us the power to get there. Holla power. Right? Now, why do you think that I'm like all negative on the brain? Because I'm not all negative on the brain. The brain has a place. Do you remember what the place was for the mind? What does the mind do? Do you remember? The mind tells our body what to do. So the mind tells our body what to do, and the heart gives us the power to do it. I say amen for the heart. This is the beautiful Emily Stovall, who is here today with us. She's so fantastic. If you don't know Emily, I would highly recommend talking to her on the break. She's fantastic and an absolutely incredible healer. So Emily came to me because she was struggling to communicate with her spouse. She was struggling to communicate with her business and even a little bit with herself. Has anyone ever experienced that? Not me. My husband and I have the best communication ever. All day, every day. So she was really struggling to create harmonic connection with her husband. And Emily was a little bit different than Janelle. And I love Emily's story because it really shows us that connection to our heart center and expression from our heart center looks different for everybody. So where Janelle really needed to feel her feelings all the time, Emily needed strategy. She needed the understanding of what it looks like to balance her mind and her heart, to balance communication between her husband and herself, between her business and herself. I remember one time, Emily said, even when I'm not working, I'm still thinking about work. And I was like, oh, then you're still like really working like 24/7. Has anyone ever do that? It's like, even when you're not working, you're still working. And I was like, okay, we want to create a place of better harmony between you and your business so that when you're not working, you're not thinking about work. When you are working, you're 100% in. When you're with your husband, you're 100% in, and you can share your feelings. So we talked about some strategies that Emily could do to connect and balance, to connect to her heart space and balance. And the most important thing for her was to relax, to trust, to rely, and then to act. I don't know about you guys, but like when something happens, sometimes it's really easy to be like, and now, and act first, think later. Or act first, strategize later. Or speak first and then be like, that wasn't really what I meant to say. Right? Or we just sit in the strategy for so long that we don't actually get to the act. Does anybody do that? Overanalyze themselves to death? So Emily really worked and was a master, my friends, at relaxing, doing homework. She was amazing at doing her homework. You could tell that she was a teacher in a past life. Relax, trust, rely, than act. She did her homework. She had the hard conversations with her husband that were absolutely incredible. This is what I've learned about expression. I used to teach voice lessons. Gasp, gasp. The thing is that people would come to me and they'd be like, can we just like clear all this stuff and then maybe someday I'll sing? And I'm like, nah, girl, you gotta sing. Expression takes two things, execution and exercise. You're not gonna get it right the first time out the gate. And you might get it right 5 times and then get it wrong 2 more times. Okay, so expression takes execution and exercise. So let's talk about astrology. Who's excited to talk about astrology? I'm so excited. In your goodie bags are bookmarks that, thank you, Kristen's holding it up. They're bookmarks that have the planets on one side, the symbol of the planet on one side, and then the code for like the name on the other side. And then on the other side of that are the signs, the symbol of the sign, and the name of the sign. Fantastic. Wish I had these. I have a fantastic assistant that created them for me. Love them to death. Okay, so I really love how Jeanette said, love connects us to the divine. Is that, I can't remember exactly how you said it. Love is the path to the divine. So I want to tell you guys where you can look in your natal chart to see where you connect to the divine. And that is your moon sign. Everybody talks about your sun sign. So, and then when people come up to me and they're like, what's your sign? I'm like, oh, I'm just going to go with my heart sign because that's really who I am. So our heart sign is our feelings, and it's how we process our feelings. It's our subconscious, and it's where the base of our sound sits. So it's where the base of our sound sits. So our moon sign is the frequency of our heart and the frequency of our sound. So that little symbol is the moon sign, just in case. And then you can see that's me. Don't I look so pretty? Thank you. Someone said, yes, you do. That's me. It's missing a lot of lines, but I just didn't want to make it confusing. So you see my moon is right there in Leo. Hello. I'm a Leo moon. And so we're not even going to look, don't even worry about the circle in the middle. That doesn't even matter. We're really just looking at the sign, where our moon sign is at. That holds the frequency of our sound. So each one of these signs sound different. Aries is fire. I remember one time I was in a grocery store and we were like in line to get into the milk section. Your eyes are so fantastic. She's like, oh my gosh. So there were these 2 little old ladies and they were like this, discussing which milk to get. And then there was a guy in line, and then there was my husband and I in line. And my husband and I were just like deep in conversation. So I didn't even realize that we were in line to get to the milk. And this lady comes walking up. She walks over. She opens the door to the milk fridge and she goes, there's a line behind you. And then she takes her milk and walks away. And it was like, boom. And it was so cool. I have like goosebumps. It was so cool because I wasn't paying attention to anything around me, but the minute I heard her speak, I was like, Aries. She's Aries. I can feel it. And she just made everybody move. And that's what the Aries sound does. The Aries sound creates the movement of bodies. They like literally make people's bodies move. It's so cool. So All those things, our thoughts, our feelings, our spirit, our body, that's what makes up our sound, right? And our sound holds two pieces. It has the frequency. There's two parts to sound: the frequency of our sound and the power of our sound. So I like to describe frequency and power like this. If I have, and I'm connected to the frequency of my sound, then I am holding up the microphone. And I'm putting it to my lips, right? This is the frequency. If I don't, and I won't show you because you won't be able to hear me, but you can imagine, if I wasn't holding the microphone, it'd be a lot harder for especially back row up there. It'd be a lot harder for you to hear me, right? Or I'd have to shout really loud. And then after a while, my voice would get really tired. So that is the frequency. Now, the power of the sound would be similar to how comfortable I am holding this microphone up to my mouth. So some people get the microphone and it's out here, so it's almost like I don't even have it in my hands, right? She's just like, yes. But if you're connected to the power, it's like, oh, I got the microphone, I have all the power. Power, right? So holding this up is like being connected to the power of our sound. More people can hear us, better hear us. Our sound, our voice, was designed to support our mission and our message. Your mission, your message. Your mission, your message. And that's why you were designed with your specific moon sign, which is so fantastic. This is Seidel. She's by far my most difficult client that I have ever had. When Seidel came to me, this is what she sounded like. She thought that if she sounded like this, not consciously, but she thought, if I sound like this, then people will know I care. People will know that I want to hear what they have to say. People will feel the love and they'll feel safe to express. But that's not what happened. What happened instead is people didn't feel as comfortable around me because they could hear that I wasn't comfortable. I had to actually own that Leo part of me. And that was scary. It was scary to say, I'm actually fire. And I was like, you what? I'm fire? But fire burns people. And I'm just like a little old Cancer. I just love people. But as I stepped into the frequency of my sound, right? Can you feel the difference? Can you feel the difference? What happened when I was out of my sound and when I was in my sound? My husband, I showed him the other night. He's not like really into this world, like a ton. He's starting to get the astrology thing, which is fantastic. But he was like, whoa, because I showed him. And he was like, don't do that. And there was one time, this only ever happened one time, okay? I stepped out of the Leo sound, and my son, who knows nothing about any of this, he goes, why do you sound like that? Okay, I won't sound like that. And I switched right back into the Leo, and I was like, all right, Mama's back. My husband was like, you sound, when I was in Cancer, that Cancer sound, he said, you sound insecure and not confident and lacking. And I just want to say, Cancer does not mean lacking. But me being in Cancer, in that Cancer sound, means I'm in lack. It means I'm not connected to my power. I'm not connected to my frequency. I'm not connected to my divine. I love so much that Jeanette said, love is where we connect to the divine is the path to connect to the divine, because the moon is where we connect to our divine. Our moon sign is where we connect to the divine inside of us. And I just want to say that being in this fire sound, people are a whole lot more expressive with me. And I'm not saying like they tell me their whole stories all the time, but they share a lot more. And that's what I want for you. I want you to be connected to your divine sound, your divinely designed sound. And then you'll be happy. Thank you.